Right. So I was just saying there, Sandy, about I was here one day playing years and years ago, and I met you on the stairs.
Right.
And you were after being recording with Johnny Cash here.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Really?
Myself and the lads was doing a few weddings here at this time.
Oh, are
Yeah.
you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And you briefly said something to me, but I think because when Johnny Cash was here, a kind of bit of a hush-hush about it, wasn't it?
Oh gosh, yeah. And the castle was, it was all closed off.
Yeah.
You must have been the last people here because
Yeah.
it was all closed off for him and
Yeah.
June and her sisters and their son and the band and the manager.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, what is the Johnny Cash entourage? Like,
I
before we
suppose
get into, sorry,
I suppose
George,
it varies. I mean, if
I'm just
we
fascinated by that.
had played in the National Concert Hall. We were at the end of a tour, and we had played in the National Concert Hall the night before, and the 2 nights previous, and we were originally supposed to go. It was for my television series,
Yes, yeah.
and we were originally supposed to go into studio and record with Johnny, as we did with all the other guests, and. I don't know what put it into my head, but I was very friendly. I'm very friendly with the Coruscantons now who own Margery Castle. They're a wonderful family,
Yeah.
and they've done a fabulous
my
job.
God, it's unreal.
It's unreal, isn't it?
Unreal.
Yeah.
But I also was very friendly with Charles Cooper and Mary,
Yeah.
the previous owners and descendants of the
Yeah.
original owners.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I used to come over here, now and again, and I've always had a love for this castle. I always felt I should live here really, but it's not.
Yeah.
But I'm not
Should have been your personal house, shouldn't it?
So I wouldn't like to be hoovering this.
Not even you earn that much money.
So, anyway, I can dream.
I know, absolutely, we all can.
But, so we finished in the National Concert Hall anyway, and we were just chatting. I was chatting to Johnny's manager, Lou Robin, and it just came to my head. I said, Lou, I knew they had the weekend off. It was Halloween, and I said, why don't we go to Sligo to do the recording, and we'll go to Margery Castle and bring Charles Cooper will go to Margery Castle. And he said, how far is that from here? And I said, it's 3 hours. He said, what? No way. He said, no way. No. They had this big fancy hotel in Dublin. So I said, well, I think it'd be lovely. I think it'd be really nice, And no. But anyway, what he didn't know was I went straight over to Johnny. And I said, Johnny, how would you like to spend Halloween weekend in a castle in Sligo? And he said, what do you mean? And I said, well, I have friends who have a beautiful castle in Sligo, and I think you'd love it, And why don't we bring the crew down there, and we'll record there? And he said, Lou, we're going to Sligo tomorrow.
Wow.
And Lou never said, when Johnny Cash said something, he was a very quiet man. He wasn't volatile in any way. But if he got mad, and I've seen him get mad a couple of times, everybody scattered. He was like a bear when he got mad.
And can I ask you, before George goes on, Johnny Cash the man, like was he an ordinary man? Like he was massive fame behind him.
Man.
Ordinary man.
Person, yeah.
So I read somewhere you said he used to make his sandwiches at the back of the bus or something.
Yeah, the coach. And he the same here. He was a wee bar down there, and he was pulling glasses of Guinness for himself.
Really?
When he was here. He was just an ordinary person. The persona Johnny Cash, he played that very well.
Yeah.
The tough outlaw man in black. But behind that, he was just an ordinary guy, and he actually liked to be treated like that.
And his wife June, who of course was very famous in her own right, was she the same?
Very same. But you see, I often wondered why I got on so well with the Carter family, with June and her sisters and that. When I travelled with them, and they would cook for me, and I stayed with them. It was because they came from the same background I did.
Yes.
Like their family, the
Yeah,
Carter
they were
family.
on the road, yes, of course. Yeah.
So they were. I was very comfortable with them, and they were very comfortable with me.
And you stayed in their house?
Yeah, I stayed with them.
And is this like a big mansion, is it? Or?
Oh Christ, yeah. But I mean, the Carters, they had like normal homes, if you like.
Right.
The girls, like their sisters, they had beautiful homes, but normal homes.
Was there a special presence with Johnny Cash? Because a lot of people say that there was something about him when you got into his company, it was just something different, something special.
Absolutely.
Apart from the music,
absolutely. And I mean, I suppose in our lifetime there've been few people like that, like Elvis, John F. Kennedy, Marilyn Monroe, people like that. But I think it's a persona that they conjure up. Nobody's born like that, I don't think. But I think they become that person themselves. But behind it all, they're just a regular, normal person.
I actually think it was.
But he did definitely. I mean, I was lucky enough to have been in his company in America.
Yeah.
And at several functions, awards and stuff like that at his table. And I could observe how people reacted when they saw him, like walking down the corridor of the Opryland Hotel, say, and it's all like the ropes around it, you couldn't get to the stars and whatever. I was traipsing behind him. I was observing how people looked at him, and it was like they were just in shock to see him. He was larger than life, he really was. And he wore this black long coat, or he had a cape. He had many capes, but one cape, and it was lined in blue silk, and then his boots come up above his knee. So he looked like a highwayman, you know, well, highwayman.
Because the thing is, he obviously surrounded himself with real people, because you mentioned Elvis there, and Georgie and I were just looking at documentaries over the weekend about Elvis, and it was very sad because he seemed to be surrounded by, you know, this Memphis Mafia and all these people that seem to be taking to have a great life themselves,
Yeah.
and putting him in this false world. Which I wonder, did they ever feel the guilt of that after? Like, was he lucky that he had his wife and family around him?
I think probably at some point in his career, I don't know an awful lot about his earlier career, but at some point I'm sure when he was, you know, dependent on drugs, he would have been taken advantage of.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But he had a manager called Lou Robin, who passed away sadly, I think the year before last, who was an amazing human being, unlike Elvis.
Yes, the Colonel.
Yeah, and there lies the dilemma, you know, and the difference. If you've got a good manager, they will protect you and look out for you. And then, I, as you may or may not know, I was at Johnny Cash's funeral, and I arrived early, of course, and I was in the church by myself, sitting at the back, and Lou Robin walked out on the altar, and he didn't see me. I went up to him after a few minutes, but I just left him be. And there he was, going, you know how in America the wreaths, they have them on a stand.
Right.
He was going around fixing, like the last thing he could possibly do.
God, he was obviously an amazing man,
An amazing man. So he looked after him, he really did.
Wow.
You know, and as did June. But then Johnny looked after June as well, so, you know.
He seemed to, really, when she died, he seemed to go downhill, didn't it?
He was very ill prior to
really,
that.
Didn't it?
Yeah, but he was very ill. You know,
he?
he was very ill for a few
Well, I
years.
wanted to ask you something about Woodcarver. Was it recorded here? The video was recorded here.
Yeah,
or
well,
parts of it
with
was
Woodcarver, going back to you were asking about how we came to be
Yeah,
here. So
yeah.
they packed up everything and they did come here.
Right.
And we arrived, I think it was like 5:30, 6 in the morning. And we were coming in. I came home the day before, and I came here with Charles. I actually was helping carry mattresses and stuff up there.
No way.
Yeah, and I brought flowers to put in vases and stuff.
Let's say you would have been a great little housekeeper, you know.
This was my big idea to bring these people here. So I suddenly
No pressure.
I suddenly realised what I had done. I thought, Jesus, I better make sure everything is okay. So I came here the day before to make sure everything was okay for them. And then I went in the car to meet the coach. And as they came in the driveway, it was just getting bright. It was like eerie.
Yeah.
And you could just see the castle, the silhouette of the castle.
Yeah.
And it was phenomenal. I never forget it. And he was like a child when he came here. He was just, oh my God, he had the fire lit. And he just swung the doors open. He was just like, he had arrived home, you know.
And he was able to relax and be himself.
Yeah, because the place was closed down except for them.
Yes.
But going back to Woodcarver, we recorded Woodcarver in Bradley's barn where I did all my stuff in Nashville, outside Nashville. And with Hara Bradley produced it. And then we did the video there as well, the day that we recorded it. The official video. But then when we came here for the TV show, it was a segment for my television show.
Right.
So we recorded Woodcarver here, and I remember, and I'll never forget June picking a chair and carrying it over there, and she sat there with the arms folded watching us. I thought, oh Christ, there won't be much romance in this.
So it was on the steps here, on the stairs.
On the steps here,
Yeah. So you're sitting with him singing Woodcarver.
Yeah, and then we stood up. He stood up, so I stood up. Yeah. And then he sat there, just in front of the steps there on a chair, and he told me the story of how he came to write 40 Shades of Green, and then he sang that.
Yeah, great song.
Yeah, and then by the fire, June and John Carter Cash, their son, was here, and then June, the second seat, Helen and Anita, and they did a whole selection of Carter family songs, which was
Oh
phenomenal.
my
Yeah.
God.
But they were the original singers in America, weren't they? The Carter family.
They were the
Wow.
first,
Yeah.
the first famous group,
Yeah.
the first.
That's
big
how they
famous
met, I
group.
think. They were heading the shows,
Yeah.
and Johnny was a support,
Yeah,
wasn't it? And
Mabel
that's how they-
Carter, June's
Yeah.
mother, she was a huge star.
Yeah.
And that's how they met. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And do you mind me asking, how long does it take Sandy Kelly and Johnny Cash in the recording studio to make that song? Because I wouldn't have
He
a clue about
laughed
this.
for most of the day.
Yeah.
He, like I mean, he
You
was,
do it in one day?
yeah, we done it. We sang it in about an hour, but like he spent the rest of the time messing around because like he was very funny.
Right.
You know, he was a very funny person. As was June. She was a comedian.
Yeah.
So she was hilarious. So he spent a lot of the time. He slept for about an hour and a half when he arrived. He said he had yogurt first. I still have the carton. I kept the carton and the spoon. I still have it now.
But
So
did you know the song before that, or was it just?
he played it for me at his
Yeah.
house. Yeah,
And
we visited his house maybe 4 months prior to that.
Yeah.
He invited us to come visit. So myself and my sister and Mike and my son Willie. Willie was about 11 or 12.
Yeah.
And they were having a party at the house and we were invited. And afterwards he asked me to wait back. Everybody else was gone. And he was in a rocking chair in the kitchen. And June was making coffee. And he said, I have a song that I was going to record with Emmylou Harris, but I think it would suit you better. I swear to God. So I said,
Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
What's that
And he's
feeling
gonna
like when
record
Johnny
it,
Cash
I
turns
know.
down and says,
I know.
I want to pick you over Emmylou Harris?
I thought he was messing, you know. And I said, really? And he said, let's see if you like the song. And I said to him, if it's Three Blind Mice, I'll record it with you.
Oh, sure.
I didn't care what song it was. And we sat down and he played Woodcarver and I cried because he is the Woodcarver, you know. Yeah. And that was it. I was back 3-4 months later in Bradley's barn recording with Johnny Cash. So I had that time to learn it, you know.
And is it true, Sandy, that you met because he heard you on the radio, was it? That's
He
how
heard me promoting Crazy, yeah.
And he
in a
contacted
pirate
you.
station, yeah, in Cavan. And back then there was no social media, so I didn't know that he was here even. And him and June were tuned into the show. And I had just done my first substantial tour, if you like, as a country artist. And I had done...
And the Patsy Cline was was that another show after? Was it the
Oh,
Patsy
yeah,
Cline?
that came
Yeah.
Just prior to meeting Johnny Cash, I had done an Irish tour with Waylon Jennings
Yes.
as his support artist. And apparently Waylon went back and said, when you go to Ireland, look out for a girl called Sandy Kelly. I didn't know this at the time. And when they turned the radio on, there was me talking and they played the Crazy. And John and Jude said, that's the girl that Waylon was on about.
Because am I right in saying that? Because I was listening to the radio one evening all those years ago, and you were on the radio, and they just told you that evening that Johnny Cash, this was live. Well, maybe
Say again?
I was listening to a radio interview. You were on whatever radio station it was, Radio 1 or whatever it was, and that evening they said to you how Johnny Cash had made contact with you. Was that evening you had just found out about Johnny Cash wanting to meet up with you or something like that?
Well, he rang the station while I was
Yeah,
there.
so that must have been the interview I was listening to. 'Cause
Yeah,
I remember
he
listening
rang the
to-
station after the interview. The disc jockey said, there's a man with an American accent wants to talk to you. And sure, like I was in the middle of Cavan, I didn't know anybody with an American accent. And I thought it was somebody winding me up, you know, so I didn't believe it was him. He said, is that Sandy Kelly? And I said, no, it's Dolly Parton.
No,
The first
you
thing I
did
ever
that.
said, yeah. And then eventually I said, Jesus Christ, are you Johnny Cash? And he said, I've been trying to tell you, I am Johnny Cash. And then he said, they were playing in Oma that night. And he said, myself and June just heard you on the radio, and we'd like to meet you. And he said, told me to come to Oma that night and come to the stage door, which I did. And there was a guy there that used to take all my photographs, like he was a fan, like, but he'd take a zillion pictures.
Yeah.
And I had forgotten that he was Johnny Cash's #1 fan, so he was there with his camera. So I grabbed him, and I said, when Johnny Cash comes out that dressing room door, I'm going to stand beside him, and as quick as you can take a picture, because I'll never see him again, you know. I didn't know he was going to ask me to sing at this stage, see.
Yeah.
And so the door opens, and out steps Johnny Cash, and I get in beside him. I said, hello. How are you? And then looked back to get the picture, and your man fainted. He was on the ground.
He actually fainted.
He fell straight back. You know, like in a cartoon. His camera was still on his chest.
Oh my God.
And then you see the two bodyguards picking him up, and they opened the side door and they put him on the bonnet of a car.
And he's still there. Oh my God. Oh, that's just unreal. Jeez.
But anyway, he asked me to join him on stage and to sing, so I did get my picture. And after the show was over, that was their last night, I think, so they were packing up to go back to Dublin to go to the airport. And he asked me, had I any plans to visit Nashville? And I said, yeah, I'm going to Nashville in June. This is maybe 2-3 months later. For Fanfare, they invited me to sing at the international show at Fanfare, the Country Music Association. And he said, here's my phone number. He handed me his phone number. And when you get there, ring, because June and I want to invite you out to the house. And so I took the number, and I thought, you know, people say that, but they don't mean it. And then he won't remember who I am, and, you know, zillion things. Anyway, we're going to Nashville to the CMA to sing on the festival, and I lost the number.
You lost Johnny Cash's number?
Yeah.
No way.
I swear to God. Imagine if he even had it today. He wrote it himself, like. So I lost the number. And
I would have framed it.
I lost it. And worse than that, I lost a check that he gave me for $600.
You did not?
I did, yeah.
I know, which is worse.
I swear to God. I actually gave the check to Willie, my son Willie.
Yeah.
I never cashed it. You know, you wouldn't cash it.
I know, yeah.
I never cashed it. And it was just for the rights of the last show he did in the Olympia. I wasn't even supposed to be on it. And RT did a documentary. Okay. Sorry, did film the concert.
Yes.
And I was on it, and it was 600, you know, get out fee to give your permission to use it. And so the $600 check, Willie moved to Nashville to learn how to songwrite. And I gave him the check.
Oh, wow.
And then he decided he wasn't going to cash it. And now we don't know where it is. But anyway, when I got to Nashville, I asked, I went to the office, the Country Music Association office, you know, to organise what I was going to sing and whatever. And I asked them, I said, oh, by the way, could you give me Johnny Cash's phone number, because he asked me and my family to come and visit him when I went to Nashville. And the girl started laughing. She said, do you know how many people come in here looking for Johnny Cash's phone number? And she wouldn't give me the number.
So how did you get in?
It was the day before I was due to come home, and I'd given up. I thought he didn't mean it anyway. I thought, you know, it doesn't matter. And I was getting ready to go home, and the same woman rings me from the CMA, and she says, you won't believe this, but Johnny Cash is looking for you. I said, I told you he was looking for me, and you wouldn't believe me. So he rang there looking at
Like it could have gone so much the other way.
So that day we ended up at his house, and that's the day I got Woodcarver.
Oh my God, my God. And Sandy, you won an award recently. Wasn't it last Sunday night, wasn't it?
Yeah, I won
Congratulations.
the Over the Hill Award.
You did not. Don't stop that. Don't be saying that, will you?
My best self I did.
That's not true. That's not true.
When they start giving out, George Hamilton told me before, when people start calling you a legend, you don't have to really achieve anything or do anything. You just have to be old enough. You have to live long enough. So that's what's happened to me. I've just lived long enough.
But you've been a legend in my life, all my life, so you have.
Now he tells me.
You better say hello to my sister Elizabeth.
I know Elizabeth. I haven't seen Elizabeth for years.
She's Elizabeth Yates. She used to be Elizabeth Shannon when you knew her.
Hi, Elizabeth.
And she lives in Burbage in the West Midlands in England now.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, but I'm telling you, Sandy Dusky, she knew you as Sandy Dusky and Sandy Kelly, and still is a massive fan to this day. So
well,
she'll be thrilled.
I hope you're well. And I hope we get to meet again.
You will get to meet her. Yeah. So life, you'd had ups and downs and all sorts, and it must have been horrible when poor Barbara, lost her life and all of that. It must have been a horrible time for you.
It's a shock, I suppose, for anybody. We all hear about suicide, but it doesn't really resonate with you unless it happens in your family.
It's your own doorstep, yeah.
Yeah, and then that's, there's no way of explaining.
There is no explanation, because I've experienced it in our family not so long ago.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, no, and it was through my cousin's wife, and she got a cancer diagnosis that she couldn't accept, and felt that was, her way to do it. A young lady, a beautiful lady.
That's so sad, isn't it?
Beautiful, beautiful lady. And you're right, there is no answer to it. You know what I mean? And her husband and young kids are left behind, but it was an act for her. It was
You're
an act
left
of
with
love.
an awful lot of unanswered questions.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
And an awful lot of what ifs.
Yeah.
And Barbara's second wedding was here at Mercury Castle.
Yes.
So I suppose, people might wonder why I have such a love and a connection with the castle, but I've cried here, I've laughed here, and every time I walk through the door there's a million memories, and Barbara would be one of them.
But you know something, Sandy, and I know it's, and I don't, please don't take this the wrong way, like she just has left such a beautiful legacy behind, you know what I mean?
But Joe, yeah, absolutely.
I know that's no good to you.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean?
but to be totally honest, when somebody does that, and I understand that they're not well and they're not in their right mind, and all that goes with that. But on the other side of it, you feel anger towards that person because she left behind a beautiful daughter, and she should be here now.
I know.
And I miss her, and obviously I don't need to say how much I loved her.
Yeah.
And going through the pictures recently, as I was saying to you, I mean, I'm reminded of how much we did together on stage and how many things we experienced together with the Eurovision. And I mean, she was on all those Johnny Cash shows.
Would have shared the life that she had together.
We had an amazing life together.
As you say, Johnny Cash, the Eurovision,
everything.
My God.
And even like our personal lives. But it wasn't all roses either.
I'm sure.
No, we
your
were
family,
siblings,
your family,
yeah.
What age was Barbara when she passed?
She passed away on her 57th birthday.
Young woman.
Yeah.
Too
I
long.
mean, I'm 69, and I hope I have a few
You
years
are
after
not.
me. I'm 70 next year.
Oh,
And I
yeah,
hope, well, you're being nice, but thank you.
Stop it.
That was a great reaction. Keep that in, would you?
You're the one going.
I thought you were 5 years younger than me.
But she was young, she was young, and she had a lot of living to do. And her daughter Sandy, young Sandy, who graduated from UCD last September.
Good for her.
And that was a bittersweet day because Barbara missed that.
Yes,
And,
yes.
she's going to miss. And so it's a very mixed feeling.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Where there's a pain in your heart that will never go away, and there's memories that keep coming back, and there's what ifs, but then there's also anger.
Yes.
And that's being totally honest.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, and we unfortunately, at times we get messages on our recovery tour, private messages from people who have certain thoughts in their heads, and thankfully we've been able to help them. Not that we're medical people or anything like that, but sometimes I think it's just important to be able to talk.
You've got that in common with them. If you can talk to somebody, if somebody reaches out, you've got that in common, and you know how they feel.
Yes,
Got cancer.
And I think it's important for anybody out there just to know to
word.
talk. Cancer is a scary word, it is.
Yeah.
And I know that person, you're going through it as well, aren't you?
Well, Mike is recovering from cancer, thankfully, and doing well. But there again, it's a journey I didn't know anything about either until Mike was diagnosed this time last year. Actually, he had his diagnosis, and I don't need to tell you, it's a life-changing.
It is.
Moment.
But he's strong though, isn't he? He's
a good
strong
attitude,
man.
as do both of you. I really admire your attitude and the way you've.
You were saying, Mike, you can't wait to get back playing and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's going back. He's practicing the bass every day, and because his surgery was the lung, and so that involved ribs and
of course,
back here. So
excuse
me, holding the bass.
Yeah.
So he's been practicing, and he's looking forward to getting back, and hopefully.
And we all look forward to seeing him on the road, and we say a big shout out to Mike here, so we do, don't we?
Yeah.
You played with Mike, didn't you, George?
I suppose I did through the years, here and there, and bits and pieces.
Lovely man. I used to meet him I haven't met him many times in the hotels. And I actually shared a coffee with him. I'd say must be about 4 or 5. I was up doing TV, and I was staying in the Lucan Spa Hotel.
Oh yeah, we used to play there.
Yeah, but he was there that night. He just happened to be sitting out. There's a place outside. It was a summer's evening. And he must have been a band there or something that he was involved with or whatever.
Yeah, he might have been doing sound for something.
Maybe, I think he was actually, And we just had a coffee.
He moved to doing sound instead of playing bass.
Lovely man. We just had a chat for a half an hour, and he was just lovely.
Mike's quiet.
That was the last time the last time I met him was yourself and himself, you were playing at the Irish Country Women Associations, had a women's dinner at in the hotel I was in, and you were singing at it in the Radisson, and I made you a few burgers and stuff after.
Oh, that's right, I remember that.
We were chatting to you after.
Yeah, that's right.
That was the last time I was chatting to you.
I forgot about that. That's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
So I was just wondering, would you be interested in singing a song with us?
Yeah, have you anything in mind?
You tell me.
It is going to be special. What I'm going to do is I'm going to step out of the way and let the two of you get ready. And Sandy, just for this, to say to you, thank you so much, and thank you for being so open and so honest. And I know that there is so many people that watch our little blog, and you're going to just inspire them so much. Your stories,
I don't know about that, but
you will honestly,
I'm
honestly,
all
you
your
really, really
listeners.
will. But the amount of people that admire you, I admire you. I think your career has just been amazing.
He likes me.
Oh, I do. I love you. I've had no problem. I've loved you all my life.
Thank you very much.
But I wish you continued success professionally, and I wish you happiness personally.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
2, 3, 4.
It's a lesson too late for the learning, made of sand, made of sand. In the wake of an eye, my heart is yearning. In your hand, in your hand. Are you going away with no word of farewell? Will there be not a trace left behind? I should have loved you better, didn't mean to be unkind. You know that was the last thing on my mind. There's plenty of reason for going. This I know, this I know. The leaves are steadily growing. Please don't go, please don't go. Are you going away with no word of farewell? Will there be not a trace left behind? I should have loved you better, I didn't mean to be unkind. You know that was the last thing on my mind. Let's see you play it. As I lie in my bed in the morning, oh, without you, every beat of my heart is a yearning. Oh, without you, are you going away with no word of farewell? Will there be not a trace left behind? I should have loved you better, I didn't mean to be unkind. You know that was the last thing on my mind. You know that was the last thing on my mind.
Wood carver carved me the house.